I have a question. What do homeowners need to know about extension prices?
Well, the first thing is obviously the size of the extension. Like that's going to be a massive factor. The larger the extension, the more expensive that's going to be. The choice of materials, like using hardware and materials, and the fact that like they last longer and have less maintenance, that's going to be a long-term issue. The location of the property, obviously built up north, it's going to be cheaper than building down south. So that needs to be taken into consideration. I mean, fundamentally, like budgeting needs to come into it, and you really need to think from the outset about what you can financially be capable of and add a little bit more for contingency. That's probably the best I can say.
I have a question. What are the key factors to consider when planning a home extension?
Okay, well, you've got to consider the cost of the extension. Average build cost at the moment about £2,000 a square metre up north. You've got to stay updated with current trends, looking at like ecological and sustainable materials, what kind of sings to you. You've got to plan meticulously, figure out exactly what your budget is, how much you've actually got, like have you built in your contingency, all the rest of that. Hire a professional, they're going to guide you through the process and make sure that everything's okay. Ensure that you've got legal compliance and that everything's set so that when you start to build, you've got that safety and security. I mean, there's loads of factors, but probably they're the main principal ones.
I have a question. Why do people extend instead of moving?
Okay, usually it's a more cost-effective process rather than all the costs that are associated with moving. Like you can't pick up your neighbourhood, so obviously people extend for that reason to stay put. Studies incidentally have shown that people who extend live 7 years longer. Apparently that's true. So that's one of the reasons. But usually when you're looking at house extensions, you just got to look at the planning policies, etc., to make sure whether it really is the right option.
I have a question. Can you explain why planning permission is important?
Well, you got to think what planning permission is. So it's seeking permission for the majority of construction projects. So the reason why it's important is making sure that it falls in line with zoning and like the local plan of the councils. So that way then you ensure there's a legality process and it doesn't compromise the living conditions of other residents or other users of the area. So on a fundamental level, that's the importance, and that's why it should be carried out correctly.
I have a question. Can you give some tips on gaining planning permission?
Well, sometimes you should go pre-planning. Depends on how contentious the application is, but at least then you've got some guidance from the local authority and getting a full understanding of the type of application. Ensuring that your documentation's correct and thorough, and it considers the environmental impacts of the application, considering then whether you've engaged with the case officer and made sure that your information or the information submitted is of the highest quality and is taking everything into consideration, and also as well engaging with the local community and the neighbours to ensure that they're on board or that they're not being severely impacted and you've overlooked anything in that regard. So probably they're the key factors, and obviously seeking a bit of professional help is going to be critical to that.
I have a question. What does planning permission entail?
Well, Planning permission is gaining the local authority approval for any or the majority of build projects in the UK. It ensures compliance with the local regulations and ensuring that it falls in line with the community kind of harmony and the local plan. Key steps include determining whether you actually require planning permission, then the navigating the process itself, and obviously dealing with all the elements that come from that. Should an application be refused, then there's an appeal process or a resubmission process. So you just got to be prepared for setbacks and negotiations and adjustments as the process kind of goes through. And eventually, all in well, you get a successful conclusion, as long as you seek professional help.
I have a question. What are some key components of architectural design?
Okay, well, the first thing is the concept. What is the idea or the vision behind what it is that you're trying to do? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And just getting clarity of that. The next thing is site analysis, understanding the immediate context, the regional context, the national context, and even the world context when it comes down to sustainability. And then the next one is sketching and testing ideas, trying to answer that problem as many different ways as possible to come up with the best answer. And the last one is materiality, really, and what are the textures that you're going to see and feel and interact with, and that's probably the best answer I've got.
I have a question. Can you give some tips for a successful planning application?
Well, you got to remember what a planning application is. So it's going to the council to go and seek permission for whatever you're looking to go and do. So in order for you to go and have the best chance, you've got to make sure that the information you're providing is comprehensive and detailed so that they can correctly assess the application, and then it falls in lines with local policy. So you should be aware of what the local policies are in your area, or at least the professional that's submitting the application for you. And in that way, then you can ensure a quick and easy process on the application, and everything goes smoothly, relatively speaking.